Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic and Classics. This is episode number 1840, no, 56, and double shot number 1750. Yes, this one's double shot. Yeah, sorry about that last time. We'll super that. This time it's definitely it. Now I have two Batman trades here. First one is collecting a mini-series. I should point out, though, this is the first of 3 volumes for the series. This is something that basically sparks something that's something that's quite interesting that Marvel's even doing now too. This type of series, this is Batman Black and White Volume 1. Yes, this is a 4-issue miniseries originally released back in 1996. The whole point of this miniseries is that it's an anthology miniseries, just a series of short stories for Batman, told in the color and the black and white stuff. Now, of course, Batman has had humongous success for these things because as soon as this miniseries wrapped up, this was later continued as a backup feature in the pages of Gotham Knights. I will eventually talk about Gotham Knights. I'm actually talking about the opening story for that one. And that managed to last for 49 issues and then continue for two more miniseries, and that's it. Of course, Harley Quinn has her own version of this with Harley Quinn Red, White, and Black. And of course, Marvel's had their own take on this with the Blood Black. I think it was like Blood, Black, and White, with ones for Wolverine, Deadpool, Carnage, and currently Elektra and Moon Knight. So, yeah, this is what started it all. Now, these stories are written by various different writers. These are your writers for these very issues. Brian Ballard. Yes, an artist who also is a writer here. Howard Jenkins, another writer and artist. Chuck Dixon. Yes, I'm going to want him. Neil Gaiman, the late Archie Goodwin. I say late because I don't think this guy's alive anymore. Andrew Hilfer. This guy is very famous for being a very bad editor. Yeah, the guy is not a bad writer, but he's not a good editor, especially at 18 times, I've heard. We also have the late Joe Kubert. Yeah, he's on here too. Claus Johnson. Basically, we have 2 people here on this thing who are no longer alive. Yeah, Joe Kubert passed away in 2012. I think that Archie must have passed away in the 90s. I think so. We have Chet McKeever. Another person here who's no longer alive, Denny O'Neil. He passed a couple years ago. I really wish I had a chance to meet this guy, but never came to Comic-Con my area for some reason. I don't know why. You have a story now by Casero Otomo, who's translated by Mary Jo Duffy, of all things. Interesting. Bill Sienkiewicz, Walt Simonson, Jim Jansren, Bruce Timm, Matt Wagner, and Kent Williams. Artwork by Simon Bosley, of course, Brian Ballard, Howard Shagan, Richard Corbin, Gary Cooney, of course, also called Johnson, Teddy Christian, also the late Joe Kubert, Libator, Tim McKeever, who's also a writer too, Kevin Nolan, who I believe this is the artist behind the Leagues for Gentlemen, Jose Morenas, Casero Otomo, who's also a writer, Bill Sienkiewicz, Walt Simonson, Brian Surfley has met this guy. Yeah, the only person I actually have, I wanted to have Mitch I can do. Brian Surfley, I met him about 3 years ago at Carolina. Great guy to meet in person. I got him to sign a Batman by Tim Sale, who is no longer alive. Rest in peace, Tim Sale. Great artist you were. He basically did the covers for some issues of, I think it was Batman Shadow Bat, basically, because he was the long artist that covers Bruce Timm, Matt Wagner, Kent Williams, and Venom. Yeah, and there's a bunch of stories here. I do mean a lot of stories. Yeah, these are your stories for you. For the first issue, by the way, the cover is done by Jim Lee and Scott Williams. Yeah, Perpetual Mourning, Two of a Kind, which is a Two-Face story, obviously. The Hunt, Petty Crimes, Devil's Triumphant. Of course, you have Sketchbook, right? The cover for issue 4, for issue 2 is done by Frank Miller. You have Legend, Monster Maker, Jan Steranko story, Dead Boy Eyes, Devil's Children, A Black and White World. This is a Neil Gaiman story. Yes, Neil Gaiman. The cover issue 3 is done by Barry Windsor Smith. You also have a Claus Johnson story called Good Evening Midnight. In Dreams Heights, about Wagner story. Then Tongs. A Sleighing Song Tonight. This is Daniel Neal's story. I think it's one of the last stories he did aside from... This is probably the only thing he was working on aside from Azrael. The cover issue 4 is done by Alex Troth. And it's the guy, Monsters in the Closet, Heroes, Leave Take, I think it was the second one he did, Third Mask, and this is basically something done by translated by Mary Duffy. And that's it. Yeah. Yeah, some of the story. Here's the stories for you, published in black and white. You probably have to read the stories because these stories are just so good that I would just recommend just pick damn trade up. It's just so freaking good. Nothing bad in here per se. I would mention the Two of a Kind is obviously a Two-Face story. The best way to describe it is that yes, Brew Tim does the artwork too. You could say this is a story that's set during the Batman animated series. Mostly anyways, yes. I would definitely say so given the fact how Harvey Dent is drawn here, because look how Harvey Dent is drawing the story. He looks exactly the way he does on Batman the Animated Series. Well, obviously because Bruce Timm draws the story. Yep. It's basically a loose adaptation of the two-part episode, basically a debut of Two-Face. Yeah. But yeah, nothing bad about this. Just really good stories. I'm going to give this one, honestly, in opinion of this one, a 10 out of 10. Just really good. I love Batman Black and White. Now, then we have Batman Gotham Knights Volume 1, Transference. This collects the first 12 issues of this ongoing series. Now, these are the opening stories. Not the backup stories. That's Batman Black and White. I'll discuss that more when I talk about Volume 2. Because... my guess is because Batman Black and White, the original miniseries, was so financially for DC. They only planned as a miniseries, did not plan as an ongoing series. So I figured, though, we have this Batman Gotham Knights book come out. Why not? Because it's kind of like Tales for Batman. There's no cohesive story arc here. Sometimes there might be loosely ones. Basically, kind of the way it is, it's something similar to that of Batman Alleged Dark Knight. Except we use stories set in modern day, just minor retellings some classic stories. Now, most of the issues in here are done by Devin Grayson. Now, there's one issue not in here, not even the next trade, mind you. That's issue 13. The reason why it's not here, not just because the Batman Black and White issue in here too, but because it's a tie to Officer Down. Now, the only stories I'm going to talk about here is basically a 4-part story from issues 8 through 11, because I talk about that in Hugo Strange trade. So, the first story arc here, which, by the way, here's the cover for the very first issue. Love this cover here. And, well, these are not necessarily all the covers here. For some reason, they broke up the trades with the issues with the cover of the trade itself. And now these are there's a story in here that does focus on Barbara Gordon and a little bit of her past, because here's the thing. Post-crisis, they made it where Barbara Gordon was not the biological daughter of Jim Gordon. Nope, she was adopted and her father was actually Jim Gordon's late brother and wife, and she's actually his niece that he adopted. Though they kind of fix this with the post-Flashpoint reboot, which I think for some readers, probably at the time, they probably were not fans of this particular revelation. Yes, this kind of confirmed it. And that was just a standalone story, mind you, for that one. The first issue is called Constance. Now, you have Dale Earnhardt doing the artwork here, I love this guy's artwork. We have Tim Drake. Yes, Tim Drake. Oh, in case you're curious, though, when was this series originally released? You might ask. That is a really good question. The answer is 2000. Roughly 4 years after the miniseries Black and White came out. Yep. Yeah. So, and by the way, this is the first of two trades I'm going to talk about here because these two are the only two trades released. Batman Gotham Knights mostly just collects Devin Grayson stuff. It doesn't collect any of the Raiders run. Now, there were some issues that were collecting other trades. Like I mentioned, 13 was collecting Officer Down. 25-32, though 32 was collected also next trade, is the Bruce Wayne Murder, Bruce Wayne Fugitive crossover. 56-58 were War Games. Yep, War Games. So, I got small bits and portions of the series reviewed already. Yes, I have. As I mentioned, Transference was some issues 8 11. That's collected in Hugo Strange. Mr. Freeze collects 59. Okay. And Clayface collects the the shape things come from issues 60 to 71. So, yes. So, let's just say if I get a chance to review Hush Strings, which I heard is a really bad story, I would effectively got done issues 50 to 59, reviewed wise. Yes. Yeah. So, Constraints is not exactly. It's just a story featuring Batman. It's just him with Nightwing. And just it's a good. It's basically just a standalone issue to start the series out, with also guest appearance here about the Huntress. Yep. It doesn't really read much. I think, with just a really good family story. Now, issue number 2, which is called Down with the Ship. Yeah, this is an issue that features Cassandra Cain in the book. Yep, Cassandra Cain. You're thinking, really? Cassandra Cain's in this book? Oh, yes, definitely. This is the Cassandra Cain Batgirl. Yeah, this is her first time when she was officially Batgirl because she was Batgirl for a long time. Yeah. Also, this series was meant to replace the series Shadow the Bat. That's simply what this book did. It replaced that book. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, just a good story. Team story between Batman. It's like the first issue's team between Batman, Robin, and Nightwing. Second one is just Batman and, well, Cassandra Cain, obviously. Now, the next story, issue 3, is all about Killer Croc. Mm-hmm. You have the story called Samarasura. Yeah. Starts issue 3 and wraps up with issue number 4. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a quick 2-part story here. Mm-hmm. And then you have issue number 5, which features the freaking Key. Yes, the Key. Yes, he is a old Justice League villain. Yeah, let's bring in the Key for an issue. Just cuz. We also have guest appearance here by Azrael. Issue 6 is the one that focuses on Barbara Gordon. Yeah, this is the one that revealed the whole thing of the fact, a little about Barbara Gordon's past. It's mostly but kind of a little bit of explanation of what happened not long after she got shot by the Joker in flashback. Issue 7, which was the cover for the trade here. This is mostly Batman, Alfred. It's basically a good standalone issue for this one. And of course, 8 through 11 is obviously the transfer storyline. 12 is Damages. Mm-hmm. And it's an Oracle issue. Yep. Plus, the cover, the trade here, does not feature the original covers because if you see the original covers, they're really good. The covers that came out this period of time had this really cool cover. Had the Bat logo with his cowl, the DC logo off in the corner. You had the Batman black and white, so the gate given stuff. Basically, you have the writers. I love this logo. They had this on a lot of the bad books at this point in time. I've seen the covers online. It looks really good. It's a shame this trade doesn't include it. Like, seriously? I mean, you don't have to include the price tab, include that, but yeah, these are good covers, but have the logo too. Yep. Yeah, good stuff in here for this particular trade. Love it. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Nothing really bad here. It's just that, well, I'd say probably the most strangest one was when it features a freaking key. Yes. Now, oddly enough, the Clayface issue is not collected in the Clayface trade. No, not really. I'm not really sure exactly why it's not there for. It just isn't. I thought that was kind of weird. Because you have this Clayface trade, and this multiparter is not there. And you're thinking, huh, I wonder why that is. Who the heck frickin' knows? I mean, it just seems so strange. That you basically don't have this multiparter in there. Yeah, let's see. Clayface. Well, they collected another Clayface story. 6971. Yes. Yeah, not a lot of these Batman Arkham books even collect the indie issues of Batman Arkham Gotham Knights. Yes, and the most recent one was Talia al Ghul, which I have not reviewed this one yet, but I'll probably review in the future. Yep. But I have reviewed a good chunk of these so far, and now I'm definitely going to review Volume 2 really soon. Yes, I do have Volume 2 on here, just I'm not going to review it just yet per se, but I'll probably review it in the future. Yep. I'm going to give Batman Gotham Knights Volume 1, Transference, a 9 out of 10. Just really good stuff here. I think Deborah Grace herself does a great job here. I like her Nightwing stuff. This actually went to one of her better books, basically, at DC. This, along with her Titans work. Yep. Interesting, though, she's in the book issue 32. Yes. Do not know why she left at the 32, just that she did. Yeah, because Deborah Grace is a woman. I believe, they had Scott Betty. He took over the series for some reason. I don't really know why. It's just weird. I've never heard an exact explanation of why in the world that Scott Betty took over, but he did. And how long was the book for? Well, it came to book issue 33, and he then finally leave to issue 49. Yep, and that was also the last issue of the Batman black and white stuff. Yeah. Yeah, and pretty much in a way you could say that Scott Betty made Bane a regular character in Batman Gotham Knights. Kind of in a way, he appeared for a couple story arcs. As for 37 to 41, I don't think he was a feature in those books either. Yeah, it's interesting. He basically featured that. But definitely in a way, I'm definitely looking forward to reviewing more Gotham Knights stuff. It's not a terrible series per se. It's just that, well, it's known for having one of the most worst Batman storylines of all time. Hush returns. Yes, which covers 50 to 55 and 66. Yes. And you might be asking, why the heck did the book took off for a few issues? Well, 56, 58 is a three-parter which has, well, it's war game stuff. 59 is a Two-Face story. 60 is when they basically brought back the character. But it has nothing, apparently Hush is not included in Hush Returns, so I'm not really sure why. But yeah, not much to say about these two trades. Both really good. I can't wait to discuss more. Okay, so that's it for review. Next one's going to be Barto. And then back to Super Sentai. Okay, this video. Bye.